Hello, welcome to MJR RPG. The following review is of the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay adventure Slaughter in Spittlefeld, written by Ben Scerri for the first Ubersreik Adventures book. As always, the first chunk of this review is largely spoiler light for both players and GMs, while the second half is completely full of spoilers. In short, Slaughter in Spittlefeld is a tightly focused, closed adventure that leans heavily on investigation and social interaction, with a nice dash of horror and violence. The scenario has a simple opening and clear objective. The party wakes up in a tenement building locked down due to a mysterious disease. The characters need to find a cure to escape the quarantine, and so must deal with the colorful denizens of the building. Explaining any further ventures into spoilers, but the setup is simple and the objective immediately clear, making for an easy session to use as an opening to a campaign, a one-shot, or a short diversion for a party in Ubersreik, or any large settlement really. The adventure takes up a healthy 16 pages, complete with NPC portraits, stats, a full-page map, a full-page table, and plenty of GM advice. The narrative is easy to follow thanks to a clean layout, with the main bulk of the adventure sandwiched between a page or two of introductory and scene setting, and a similar amount of extra suggestions for modification at the end, broken up with asides and background information that never really get in the way of the main text. As with any pre-written material, I do kind of wish there was a simple chart of the adventure, but it's not all that complicated to sketch out your own bubble or flowchart. I do wish that there was a player-facing map, which is a common problem throughout Adventures in Ubersreik. The adventure can be run in a single 3 to 4 hour session if the players are proactive and don't dally around for too long, though my group took it easy and spent about 2-3 hour sessions to complete, allowing for some extra material at the beginning and end to fit it into our ongoing campaign. For our group, it acted as a bridge between the end of the Making the Rounds adventures from the starter set into our more freeform exploration of Ubersreik and beyond. The adventures aimed at relatively low experience characters. While my players weren't combat oriented, they did have a good chunk of experience. Luckily, there are plentiful suggestions for beefing up the adventure. Overall, Slaughter in Spittlefeld is a very simple, contained adventure, with its most useful quality being how easy it is to slip into a short session at a pretty short notice. The cast of NPCs is fun, the mystery is neat, and there are lots of strings for the GM to follow into future adventures if they so choose. Slaughter in Spittlefeld can be found in Adventures in Ubersreik, the first one. Available on Cubicle 7's site, DriveThruRPG, Amazon, or your friendly local game store if they're cool enough to stock it. The following section is packed full of spoilers, so if you're a player or just don't want to know what's going on, stop here. While the adventure is mostly an investigation up until a final confrontation, it is fairly linear. While players will find the most unexpected ways to work through the tenement, the hints all generally do lead from one to the next. The basic progression of the adventure is as follows. The party wakes up in a tenement, talks to the ogre manager or gossips with other denizens, leading them to a sick doctor who tells them to get her journal. Either more talking or using their eyeballs, reveals a kid stole the journal and is hiding in the walls. The party proceeds to get the kid out of the walls through rat-catching skills or by talking with an ex-boxer who runs the local orphanage. But the only person in the building who can read the journal is an elf upstairs. Interlude to deal with some rambunctious dwarves. Elf reveals the sickness is caused by a vampire layering in the basement. Party goes through the maze-like trash in the basement and finally confronts vampire. It's all easy to manage and can be run as is without much preparation or adjustment. Lots of fun and varied NPCs stacked out, and between the dwarves, elf, ogre, ex-boxer, and Tillian doctor, the GM has lots of options to bring back reoccurring characters. The hunt through the basement is fun with a big table of random events to run into. My party had 0 experienced trackers, so it took a good while to finally find the vampire, and the constant failed rolls resulted in a good half-dozen run-ins with a moldy mattress, rat traps, loose nails, and so on and so forth. The vampire fight itself is geared towards low experienced characters. She only has a 59 weapon skill and bite plus 8, though some traits like fear and regenerate help her be a bit more than a complete pushover. Even a group of low experienced characters should be able to deal with her just by ganging up, and as my group already had a good chunk of experience, she wouldn't stand a chance. There are a few suggestions in the text for beefing her up. One I really like is to make the vampires twins. When the characters enter the vampire lair, they find her looking in a mirror at a reflection. Give the players a second or two to wonder why a vampire would have a reflection. Then the reflection steps through the mirror, revealing there are 2 vampires. Fun stuff, and even with base stats, having 2 lets the GM control the battle a bit more, to make things more interesting. Again, Slaughter in Spittlefeld is a simple but nicely atmospheric little adventure with a fun cast of NPCs and a neat final act with the basement trash maze and a vampire fight. Slaughter in Spittlefeld can be found in Adventures in Ubersreik 1, available on Cubicle 7's site, DriveThruRPG, Amazon, or your friendly local game store. Thank you for listening. As always, credit to Cryochamber for use of their album, Cthulhu. Till next time, have a good one.